Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and across the table is, of course, Mr. Nate Newton. You took a whistle off, Nate. Nate, how are you, sir?
Just rolling in out of football practice.
Is that a rape whistle? Oh, football practice.
Yeah. Can't rape the willing, buddy.
I knew you needed one.
Yeah, right. I have a hard time fighting off attackers. Very kidnappable.
Yeah, very, very kidnappable. Yeah. You know, I always learn these singular words that best describe you. And I'm adding that to the
kidnappable.
Kidnappable is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
That's what I think of when I see you.
Could you imagine trying to stuff me into a trunk?
Kidnap him. No, I could not.
I mean, awake, it's not going to happen. But even if I was out cold, you would still have a fucking hell of a time stuffing me into a trunk. That's a two-man job for sure.
At least.
Yeah.
Dead weight is one thing.
Dude, yeah.
And the way that you're proportioned, you're getting drug on your face.
Right. Yeah. But, we got our first home game coming up this week. I'm pretty pumped about. So
I'm excited. We're gonna come watch
fucking A.
Mr. Newton in his greatness,
in all my glory,
in all your glory.
Get 15-year-olds to fucking.
The spirit of Vince Lombardi is upon you.
As long as he's not inside me.
Okay. You wish.
Yeah. But I mean, the kids are looking good. Defense flying around, dude. We played Argonaut last week. We whooped them 20-0. And dude, they were fucking that center up so bad that the dude fumbled 4 snaps. Like he didn't want to get hit anymore, you know? So that was
already getting his hands up before the ball delivered.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's good to see him flying around. You know, the Argonaut team wasn't that good. They have like this kind of a false sense of accomplishment. And so like I ran them through a bunch of drills that I know that they suck at this week just to like check them. Be like, hey, you guys think you're fucking badasses for 20-0, but you can't perform this simple task. You know, like got to keep them humble. You know,
remember the Titans.
Yeah, right. It is funny though. Is the moment the cheerleaders come out on the field for their practice, or come out to the grandstands for their practice, those kids practice 10 times harder, man. I'm like, dude, you little hormonal fuckers, just do your goddamn job.
It's so powerful though, isn't it?
Oh, dude,
it's so powerful. You get one female around a gang of men,
right?
And effort goes up.
They all go straight fucking lizard brain, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maximum effort,
right?
Just all the
all
way.
bronze, no brain.
Oh yeah, because that's that works.
Well, on defensive line, it does.
That's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I never played defensive line.
Yeah. You were the line.
That is accurate. I think it was Becca asked me a few weeks ago when I was hanging out with her and Matt, and she asked me if I had ever been just knocked unconscious, period. And I have several times, but one was I was a freshman, so I was just a staggering 5'1", 5'2". Two-digit weight class. Two-digit weight class. Full mullet.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I'm painting a picture here. Ladies need to go need to go get a napkin right now. I know it. And we were in PE, flag football, summertime, and Big Shane. It's interesting when I see... this is a quick sidebar. When I see seniors today, they didn't look nothing like the seniors when I was in school.
Well, you come from the land of giants, though. Like your standard fucking senior is like 6'2".
That's very true. Yeah. Like a lot of the senior football players on our team are 6 foot and over.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like. It's kind of like The Longest Yard, you know, that movie. I mean, our guys had beards.
Right.
You just expect a cigarette hanging out of the helmet.
Right.
But Shane Dunmeyer, who was, like you said, a senior at the time, probably 220, fullback. And my athletic ability meets Shane's athletic ability as he comes through the middle. And as I, shot the gap or whatever, I fell and lost my footing because that's how I run, and I I tried to stop him with my face into his knee.
Ooh, how'd that work out?
Fucking out cold. I don't think I got the flag. I'm very confident.
You got knocked out and mission unaccomplished.
Unaccomplished. I woke up. This is how much they really cared. I woke up to two guys carrying me off the field like you see in a battle scene.
Oh.
2 guys had my legs, 2 guys had my arms, like they were going to sling me into a pool. And they took me over to offsides and laid me on the ground and left me there.
You're still trying to figure out where the fuck you're at.
No school nurse, no teacher. They just like a roadkill. Fucking got me out of the way.
Here you go, little one.
Yeah. So
I got knocked out once, a bunch of times. I've been flat back a couple times in my life.
Yeah.
Those are always like you wake up panicked. You're like, what the? You don't even remember what caused.
Right.
The worst is when you're fucking hammered drunk and somebody knocks you the fuck out. And you wake up and you don't even remember getting into it with anybody. You just remember being in the bar and you're like, I'm outside laying on the ground. Like, what the fuck happened?
Sleepy.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so glad I grew up in that era before cell phones, Like, for one, I would have gone to fucking jail a couple of times over that shit, but did you see these like fist fights nowadays? And it's like everybody's running up with their cameras in your face while you're unconscious, choking on your tongue, and they're like fucking recording all this shit. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, those are people that have never been beat up in their life,
Yep.
Like, I really think violence is the answer sometimes with these younger generations.
We are, we're about to start conversations again of the retreat, of building the retreat. Remember we started talking about it, and then our lives fell apart, and it got put on the back burner. But I've been having conversations about that, about developing this rite of passage, this kind of retreat / camp. And I've received some really good feedback and encouragement to go back into developing that. So, people today, and normally, or before, I would start this sentence with, the new generation. And I retract that statement. Everybody today is taught that it's not okay to struggle.
Yep.
And that just breeds complacency at a massive rate. And there is all of these people, men, women of all ages, that have never had a rite of passage. They've never been in a fist fight, or they've never done anything.
They've never been involved in any sport. They've never had any sort of competition in their life. So they've never tried. So they've never failed.
And they've never experienced tremendous levels of discomfort. So I think there's a need. And I also think there's equally a want. That's part of our primal instinct, is to have accomplishment. And when you think about tribal times, Spartan era, everything, there was always this sense of passage, this rite of passage. For me, it was growing up in the trades,
Yeah, that'll do it. Well, used to do it.
Used to, yeah. There's not as much emphasis on that today because of today's society. But I had to earn my rite of passage.
Yeah,
growing up,
I definitely earned mine.
And you do it by doing most things wrong and getting your ass kicked.
Yep, and I feel like failure is the greatest part of being a human. I think failing at least you tried. Do you know how many people out there aren't failing because they're not trying to do shit? And I wish people would instill that in their fucking kids. Like, put them in positions where they have to put effort into something and they fail. Like, just force them into it. Don't ask them if they want to do it or not. Life rarely, the dildo of life rarely, shows up lubricated, So, like, it's never when you expect it, I mean, put your kids in uncomfortable situations, let them fight their way out. Quit fucking doing everything for them. I think that's a big problem with a lot of it too, is that we want to step in and save people from their own suffering.
And it goes back to the point that people are being taught that it's not okay to struggle. And people, they latch onto that because struggle is uncomfortable. And people ultimately want to be comfortable. Our brains are wired to make us comfortable. That's why it's difficult to do cold plunges. That's why it's difficult to work out. That's why it's difficult to be disciplined. That's why it's difficult, because it immediately opposes our brain's natural reaction to keep us comfortable. And that's why action is so important, you know. But it's okay to struggle. And people also, I think, leverage struggle incorrectly. They leverage struggle for vanity metrics. And me personally, I think it's elevating the problem. It's not solving it. I think it escalates this desire and this need for attention and a sense of significance and then people realize that, oh, the more problems I have, the more attention I get. And so they create problems because they get attention for it.
Right.
And reality is there's no true sense of struggle. It's just that they choose to live at this low level where they can receive all of this attention. And again, all of these vanity metrics. That also, people that do that also, that tells me that they do not have a tribe.
Right.
That they don't have people around them that are like, you need to get the fuck up right now.
Right.
I mean, you think about the difficult conversations you and I have had over the last year and a half, and the people closest to you and closest to me, that's tribe. Your tribe they will allow you to suffer because you need to, but they're also not going to let you revel in it.
Right. Yeah. It's like, dude, okay, you've had it. You've done enough.
You're done laying down.
Up.
You're done laying down. Get the fuck up.
Get up. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I don't know how the fuck we went down that trail. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Got something to talk about, Josh?
What do I want to talk about tonight? I want to talk about thinking like an owner. And my approach to this is the employees side looking at it. And then as you and I were having a conversation, your approach to it was, people that own a business that don't think like owners, which, as I told you before we hit record, I'm always interested in the perspective that you bring, because when I listed all of this out, it was nothing to do with that. And as soon as you said it, my brain went, son of a bitch. Stop thinking like a welder and think like a business owner. Stop thinking like, this. I want to go down the employee path first. I did a on-site leadership training a few weeks ago, and to kick off the training, I had everybody, because they all have workbooks. The training's got workbooks. I said, flip to the very back of the book. There's going to be some note pages in there. I said, I want you to write down 5 qualities that you would expect from your employees if you owned a company. And I gave him a few minutes. What I'm interested in is because I took the time and I wrote mine down. I'm interested as to, because you do own a company, what are 5 qualities that you look for or expect?
Punctuality, reliability, trustworthy, grit, and just somebody that doesn't fucking complain. You can come to me with a problem, but just don't fucking bitch. It's like, dude, when they come, when you get people come in and bitch about this little nuanced shit, and you've been dealing with fucking multi-million-dollar contracts, negotiations all day, or dealing with fucking contractors and somebody's not fucking paying you, and like you're trying to make sure that there's food going on their fucking plate at the end of the day, and then they come in and they're complaining about a fucking piece of equipment in the shop, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
There's no paper towels.
Yeah. Go get some.
You're going to need them because I'm going to murder you in a minute.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. And I want to share mine because we have a couple of the same. Grit, punctuality, attitude, integrity, and being coachable. And those were kind of the 5
you got
qualities.
To think about yours for
I did.
a while
I know.
now.
I said that.
Yeah.
I said that because I had a couple others down. I had growth mindset down, and then I was thinking problem-solving mindset kind of thing. And anybody that has not read Grit by Angela Duckworth needs to read that book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you understand the definition of grit as she defines it, you know that grit encompasses several of those things. It encompasses whatever it takes mentality. It encompasses problem-solving mindset. It encompasses just the act of getting shit done. So grit, as defined by her, I think really encompasses a lot of the behaviors. And I'm not surprised that we had several, even though I put you on the spot like that. It's what's interesting though is neither one of us said skill set.
Yeah, no. I think we've been sitting in this room too fucking long together.
Because if you have those qualities, right?
The skill set comes naturally.
Skill set is going to be easy. So the reason that I kicked off that leadership training with that team and that question is the best employee that you can have is someone that thinks like an owner.
Mm-hmm.
So the $1 million question is how do you cultivate that, right? How do you get people to think like an owner? And that's the conversation that I want to have tonight. And I want to kick it off by kind of really diving into a common mindset of employees. And here's what I mean by that. Is how many times have you heard, I'll do more when they pay me more?
Mm-hmm. Well, not around our shop because they know they get fucking smacked if that was the case.
But you've worked with people. I've worked with people.
Yeah.
And
they don't pay me enough to do this shit.
Right.
I ain't fucking doing it.
That is not the mindset of an owner. Mm-hmm. What's really interesting about that is people choose to put themselves in a place of captivity. And that's how I look when someone has that mindset and someone says, oh, they don't pay me enough to do this shit. I'll fucking do more when they pay me more. That is a mindset of captivity. What shocks me about that is it puts people in a place that gives them permission to complain, which is fucking psychotic. All right. But ultimately, they make a decision to allow the perceived value of them to allow it to limit their success, growth, and performance and value. And what I mean by that is, if you have a manager that does have a kind of a limiting hold on you, is controlling the amount of money that you make per hour, and you choose, instead of elevating yourself, you're now saying, okay, they say I'm worth $20 an hour, so that's all the performance and value I'm going to give them.
Dude, and the people that say this shit, they're always the most useless motherfuckers on the job site, right? Like, and it's almost people's way of boosting their own self-esteem is to say dumb shit like that. Because it's like, oh, well, I know my self-worth. And it's like, no, you don't. If you knew your self-worth, you'd know that it's shit and that you need to do more. And what a lot of people don't pay attention to is that your paycheck, your hourly wages are determined on the value you bring to the table.
Under good leadership.
Yeah, under good leadership. And if you don't bring any more value, I'm not going to pay top dollar for a fucking turd to go polish it myself. Like that's just moronic. And I think that's another symptom of this victim culture that we've created, right? And it's like, oh, well, they're asking me to do more. Well, fuck that. They don't pay me enough for it. But in that same breath, I'll tell you that there are plenty of employers that take advantage of that shit.
Agreed.
They will dump shit off on people's plates and just dump and dump and dump until they break somebody and then they leave.
Well, we discussed that in performance punishment. That there are absolutely chicken shit leaders that take advantage of that. In that performance punishment, I think we covered that in really good detail. But this is the other side of that. When you have an employee that makes decisions every single day some of the conversations that I get to have, I'm fucking blown away, because if you listen to the problems, you would not believe that these people have a company that employ adults.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they have middle school children running around in this company.
Yep.
Because of how they behave. I was sitting in a meeting yesterday, and luckily I got to watch the struggle that she went through to get time cards. Time cards to collect hours so these guys can get paid. So they can get paid. And one of the foremans was in there, and then he left, and she's on the phone, and everything got done, and the dust settles. And I said, "Do you do that every week?" And she said, "Yeah." And I was frustrated for her. I'm like, I will fucking murder someone if this is what I had to do every week.
Dude, if I even had to ask somebody for their time card, you'll get paid next week.
One of the recommendations that I made, I said, okay, you need to create a clear expectation. And that expectation is starting September 1st, you only get paid with what is on your time card if we have your time card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see how long they do that.
The fact that there's an option outside of that is baffling to me, you know?
When you continue to go through those behaviors, you're enabling it and you're rewarding them for it.
Yeah.
You know, she spends probably, I saw what I'm guessing is a snapshot of what she deals with in a week's time. So hours a week tracking information down to ensure, because she, you know, the owners, they love their team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. It. She cares so much about them, and she wants them to get paid. So she sacrifices herself so they can be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
And
no.
You cannot do that. You can't enable that. You can't reward that behavior. But back to the, you know, just the employee mindset, you know, when you have those people, I look at it and go, why would you allow someone to dictate your success and performance?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure really early on in my just working in the trades in general, I'm sure I fell into this. I have no doubt. But luckily I matured out of it. But when you get up every day, and that's where I was going with this, is, you know, you intentionally, you get there as late as possible,
mm-hmm.
you know, 1-2 minutes before you're required to clock in. And then every single day you shit on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
So that's...
Boss gets $1, I get a dime. That's why I shit on company time. I'm like, what the fuck? I read that in a blue room one day, and I'm just like, dude, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, 10 minutes a day. If you look at 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, 10 minutes a day is 40 hours a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend 10 minutes a day in the bathroom, you're getting paid 40 hours. You're getting a week's pay.
Yeah. Dude, as an owner, I don't even try to go anywhere near that bathroom for the first hour in the morning, because there's just a revolving door of these motherfuckers in and out of the goddamn thing.
But to me, and I understand, like, you've got to have your bowel movement in the morning and you've got to get moving, but there are people that wait to get on the clock.
Deliberately, yeah.
You know, it is...
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, most people's bowels are trained for certain times of the day, you know? So they're just like, I'm like, dude, I do that shit at home before I leave, but I'm an owner, right? So that mentality for me, and one saving grace for, let's say, Matt and I, is that the industry we were in the pipeline game, where we did have our own truck and we were 1099 for part of it, we got paid piece price. Of course, we're going to think like an owner. Our production determines how much money we make. So, of course, we have a different mentality. So I think, you know, I think that transition for me was a little bit easier going into business ownership. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew what mentality to carry, right? To what work ethic needed to be there, and what level of accountability needed to be there in order to make this thing work, you know? So, and it's like, fuck, dude, I wish there was a way to find that avenue in so many other trades to have some sort of a piecework deal. You know, to where people can make as much fucking money as they want to make. You know, it all depends on the amount of effort and how skilled and how efficient you are with shit, you know?
Yeah. I can't say that I went into business with an owner mindset. I did go into business really understanding what I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. And that was really my compass for a lot of the things in the beginning was, okay, I remember working for this guy and I hated this about him. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And I worked for this company and I hated this about it. So I'm not going to do that. So my compass and direction was really defined by things I didn't want to do.
Yeah. That's a really difficult way to navigate your business, right? If all we're focused on the things we're not going to do.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right, exactly.
I just know what I didn't want to do.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, we preach all the time. You need to focus on what you want to do. You need to focus on the things you need to do. Being addressing solutions instead of problems, right? And I think that's addressing problems is like, okay, well, we don't want to do that because that guy's a fucking piece of shit and he used to do that. Yep. So.
And for me, that was inexperience. It was immaturity. Mm-hmm. Again, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
I just knew that between the companies that I worked for and then when I was a territory manager, the shitstorms that I witnessed, okay, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. So I just came in and with this block of clay and just tried to shape it and mold it. I've talked about it on here, but my business plan was to not be outworked. Mm-hmm. That was my whole business model.
Dude, I mean, it'll work for a while.
It did for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did for a while, but that's not leadership. Mm-hmm. That's not system creation and implementation. That's not sales. It's a good ethic. It's a good value to have, but it's not it doesn't steer the ship. Mm-hmm. So definitely a lot of things, but it also employees that come up and the whole, and there's a little bit of dichotomy to this next one, but that's not my job. That's not my job mindset.
Yeah. I mean, there's also like, if you have clear and concise roles and responsibilities for a position and you're asking people to operate outside of those, they kind of got a little bit of a leg to stand on there, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, and we tell people that when they first show up, day one, it's like everything is everybody's fucking responsibility. Matt and I will go clean the bathroom ourselves. Nobody is above shit around here. If you need to go fucking primer beams and you get paid $32 an hour as a shop foreman, I don't give a fuck, dude. You're going to go out there and primer goddamn beams.
Right.
Like, if it's got to get done, it's got to get done. Nobody is above anything.
Yeah. And that's the dichotomy, right? In small business, everybody wears multiple hats. Mm-hmm. When you have someone that just, no, that's not my job. I just do this.
I'm a welder. I do that. And that's a problem I have with the oil and gas industry, dude. Like, those guys are allowed to operate like that, and these larger, oil companies, they cater to it. When somebody's like, all I do is run beads, like, root passes or whatever, or all I do is cap, all I do is fit. And it's like, who the fuck are you to come in here and tell us are you a fucking pipeline welder or not? You need to be able to do all things pipeline welder related.
Yeah. I would still be jobless if that was my mindset going in.
Right.
Just because of the diversity, especially in the HVAC industry, you get pulled in, you might have to fabricate duct one day, and then you're going to go install one day, and then you're running maintenance one day, and then service one day. And if I would have ever went, well, that's not my job, like I said, I would still be jobless today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to me, that's a behavior and that's a mindset. I suffered from the other side. I said yes to everything. Mm-hmm. And I think in your 20s, you should.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. In your 20s?
Yes.
Do it all.
Do it all. And that was really kind of my drive is I wanted to experience it and I wanted to learn what the downfall was. I worked for people that took advantage, and, we've talked about it on here, how low, wages are in the Midwest and still are. Living expenses are super low in the Midwest, but I worked in the industry for 9 years before I broke 50 grand. That in itself will help cultivate a poor mindset.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, and you're out there busting your ass all the time and you're barely scraping by, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You're not just putting in your dues, you're just getting fucked.
Yep. And you're leaving the house, you get called out, you fucking leave at midnight to drive an hour to fix a furnace, only to get back home by 3 or 4 to get called out immediately again to fucking turn around and go right back out. And you're doing that shit for $15 an hour.
Fuck that.
But
that was back in the 60s. That was pretty good money back then.
You guys even have air conditioning? The reason I bring that up is you have to be, thinking like an owner. That's cultivated, right? I do think there is a high sense of accountability for the individual to have an owner mindset. But I also know from personal experience that can be suffocated. That can be stifled with poor leadership.
Right.
Because you do get taken advantage. And back to the performance punishment, you just, because I was a yes man in my early days, they were just fucking, everything got thrown on me. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that you are still accountable for your performance. You may not be responsible for your compensation, but you are absolutely accountable for your performance. And if you work in a company or for poor management and they pay you in a way that you feel undervalued, and you now make the decision to perform at that level, at that value, you will be miserable every day. I think it really leads to depression and frustration and stress and anxiety because you don't feel valued. You're not getting to meet the high level of expectation that you hold upon yourself because someone else has a different metric for you.
Right. Yeah, that's I mean, you bring up the anxiety and the depression, dude. I really think that most of that stuff is self-inflicted, right? And I do see that in people all the time, like the people that I know, there's some of the most depressed, just bah humbug types. They ain't doing shit, and it's, but they carry that mindset of like, fucking, well, they need me more than I need them. Do they?
Well, that's another one.
Yeah. Oh, dude. But the problem is that there is some validity to that, and, like I said, we hire on attitude where we're at. If we didn't do that and all we had to do is bring in welders, I would have done shot all those motherfuckers by now.
And yourself.
And myself. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think that, we have to, I really like your idea of, write down the 5 qualities that you would want in an employee and to just have them write it out. Be like, hey, do you see those in yourself?
Right. Do you uphold these qualities? Do you represent these, these standards?
I think I do this on Monday's morning meeting.
It was interesting when I did that because the owners were also in the training. And as soon as I did it, the look on the owner's face was like, oh, shit.
Welcome to the shit show, motherfuckers.
This is good.
Yeah.
And because you have to, again, create perspective.
Well, and that perspective breeds accountability, right? It's like, hey, you said you wanted that in an employee. Like, why don't you do that here with me?
Right.
Oh, well, shit.
And so if the rebuttal is, I will do these things when I get paid more, then you're not thinking like an owner, right? Yeah. You're back to the victim mindset, to allowing yourself to be held captive by, again, the metric of someone else. Just because they place this monetary value on you doesn't mean that's what you're worth. You're worth more. I've had several conversations because chicken shit leadership is fucking rampant. But I had this young man, we went back and forth, just in conversation several times, and he was facing this. He really kind of had that owner mindset. He wanted to do more. He wanted to progress. He wanted to know what the expectations were, clarity in the role, all of the things. And he was getting beat down mentally and emotionally by the position that he was in because of his authoritative figure. And, I really encouraged him. I said, don't let that limit your performance. Because one thing that I learned, and this is what I shared with him, when I took accountability for my performance and I made the decision to operate at my level no matter what, opportunities started to show up. And it wasn't 3 months after him and I had that conversation, he sent me a message and was like, hey, dude, I just got this job opportunity, making this amount of money, doing this thing with this company. And I think that happens, and it's not by accident. If you've got your head down and the only thing you're trying to do is ignore the responsibility that you have, I think the opportunities stay away.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, you never see them, right? If your head's down, they not only do they stay away, even if it was standing right in front of you,
you would never see them. You're just going to go right by them.
And I love that, and this kind of sums this up perfectly, but that quote from Thomas Edison, most people miss opportunities because it's dressed in coveralls and looks like work. That extra shit that you think that you shouldn't have to do because they don't pay you enough for it, those are your fucking opportunities. That's where you fucking start to pull ahead from the pack, you know? And it does look like work because it is fucking work.
It is work.
But that's where your opportunities come from, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It does sum that up. So, you know, as a leader, cultivating that mindset out of your people really comes back down to leadership equity. You know, what is the quality of the relationship that you have with that individual? How much are you communicating with them? Do you have a growth plan? Are you providing opportunity? And how are you navigating this for your people, for your team? Now, because I want to circle back around this, if you are someone that doesn't own the company and you work for someone that is not a good leader, it's still your responsibility to perform at your highest every day.
Yep. Yeah, quit looking for outside, outside influence for that. You know, nobody should have to be out in front of you to get you to do better for yourself. You know,
when people don't receive approval, they use it as justification to do less. So stop looking for the approval.
Yeah.
Seek that approval internally. Did I do my best today, or did I do what I think measures up to the metric that someone else has imposed upon me?
Oh my God. On the goddamn football field. I don't know what it is about this generation, dude, but they have to have constant reassurance. Like, hey, coach, did I do good? Am I getting better at this thing? And one kid, he would ask me, he's asked me this shit like every day.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he comes up, he's like, coach, did I do good? And I'm like, I don't know. Did you? Did you give it everything you had? Did you put every last bit of effort you could have into that? Well, no. Then no, you didn't do better. You didn't do good. Get back and try it again. We're going to repo that drill. Come on, let's go. And then you see the kid fire up, and then it's like, hey, dude, can you just do that every play, please? Like,
oh, man. I tell you what,
I stopped telling them they were doing a good job. Right. Like, from now on, every time they ask, I'm like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. You know what I think is really interesting about that is, and I might be off, but I'm just dissecting the example that you just shared. No one has ever given that kid permission to be excellent. They've never given him permission to fucking lay it all out, leave it on the fucking field, work so hard that you puke because he's never had to.
Right.
And no one's ever given him permission to get back up and go, no.
Oh, dude, and they got me standing over the top of them while they're laying on the ground, huffing and puffing, yelling at him like, you better get the fuck up.
You
right
want
now.
a donut?
Yeah.
Huh? What are you doing?
Dude, you should have seen it the first day we ran gassers. So gassers, we line up along the sideline, and they have to run 50 yards and back. So that's a mini, a regular's there and back twice, and a grande is there and back 3 times. Dude, we ran 3 minis. We had 6 kids puking.
Yes, I love it.
And I was just like, dude, we used to have to run the ladder where it was a mini, a regular, a grande, a regular, and a mini, and they were all timed. And if we didn't make it, we got to start over. These kids had 3 minis and they're fucking puking. And I'm just like,
so good for him.
My God, yeah. And I'm like, dude, you guys better get it. Dude, you better. And they're trying to throw up to get out of the next run. And I'm like, you better be throwing up while you're running. You will run.
Yep.
I don't care if you throw up on this field. That ain't my problem. You're the one that's going to fall in it. So,
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that.
But also, like, you know, because I'm, like I said, I'm militant with those kids too. So it's like they've never had anybody like that with them where somebody is visibly and audibly upset with them and not going to take their bullshit. Like, I love being able to shoot down kids' excuses. Like, that's my favorite fucking thing in the world.
Start with the excuse.
Yeah, they started trying to give me excuses, and then I send them off running. I'm like, bear crawl 50 yards right now. I don't hear your fucking excuses.
Do you guys need any more help?
Josh is like, I'm just here for the leadership. He's like, yeah, sports ball. All right.
Field goal, 9 points. All right, someone's winning.
Why is this oval? Shouldn't it be round?
Penalty. Yeah. Where does he shoot the ball from? I'm so confused. Foul.
Oh, he touched it with his hands. That's not good, right?
Who is this guy? Is he supposed to be here? No, not really.
He just wandered in one day. Hasn't left.
Jesus. Yeah. All right, so let's flip it to people that own a business that need to think like an owner.
Dude, I think that's one of those things that's a lot harder for people than they realize. Like, especially, most of us that own construction companies, we came out of the industry. We know how we do things and how we did things, especially once you come off of the tools. I think for one, building a mindset of an owner enough to get to a point where you can get off the tools, that's pretty difficult. But to maintain that, as your scope of work expands, you start doing things that you haven't really done before. Like, you're bidding on work that I've never stood fucking 32-foot tall moment frames. So we're like, this for a custom home, and like we have all this crazy crane work and rigging and all this other shit that's going on, and so it's hard to extract yourself from that. You want to jump in and figure it out and like, look, how the fuck do we do this? But you have to empower your people to do that. And I think that aspect of thinking like an owner after being a tool monkey is really hard to maintain. I think it's hard to stay there and remain a business owner and keep the forward momentum of the business going and not getting caught up with the operations of it.
It's a very difficult transition. It's one of the transitions that I get to experience with clients often because they do want to know, how to be a leader, how to be a better business owner. And, it's like, you can't think like a roofer. You have to think like a business owner. Can't think like a welder, think like a business owner. And it shifts your mind on problem solving. When, and I think one of the biggest impacts that it has on people is how they charge, how much money they're charging. When you are thinking like an employee, you're just charging what you think you would pay for that job. And what do you think that job is worth? You're not looking at the operational value of that hour or of that time for the company as if you would as an owner. And so I think people raising their prices and taking control of their finances is one big transition of thinking like an owner instead of like a fill in the blank. How you approach, I don't have this problem with my clients. It's what I love about my clients, but I've seen a lot of companies suffer from this. They act just like the employee that we just discussed.
Yeah, right.
That's how they behave.
Shit, they do that, dude. To watch subs do that with, general contractors. Well, I'll fucking do it when they pay me more. Yeah, they want to bitch about my pricing and this and that. And it's like, dude, there's that whole, you get a lot further with honey than you do with whatever fucking, I can't remember what it is, but, dude, like just stepping up to the plate for a contractor and like, they're in a pinch and they need something that got missed out of a bid. It cost a couple grand to get the thing done, but you're on a fucking $300,000 contract or whatever. It's like, just fucking do it, dude. And, and then you elevate yourself with that contractor. That the next go around, if your price is a little higher, if you're still within 10%, they're going to be looking at your number very closely and be like, I think that's the one we're going to go with. We know what we're going to get with them,
and you can get to a point with a business when you operate and think like a business owner and you have systems in place and you have a team and you want to take time off or you want to adjust your schedule. Even as a single owner operator, once you have your business operating systematically and you have things in right, you can do that. What I get frustrated at is when you see these fucking shit bags that show up on construction sites at 10, leave at 2. They show up at 10 o'clock and the first thing they do is take a break. The next thing they do is they intoxicate everyone with their negativity and complaining. And then they just... They look for the superintendent or they find out what they're doing and then they start complaining because something's in the way. It's a fucking construction site, dude. Shit's everywhere.
Right.
Like sorry, we didn't get the red carpet rolled out.
Yeah, there's multiple trades here.
You're not a pipeline welder, all right?
Yeah,
you got to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
But they have that employee mindset, and I think where a lot of that stems from is the animosity that they have built up for the employer that they had, and the expectations that were imposed upon them when they get this ultimate sense of freedom. They behave in a way that's not conducive to success.
Right.
Like I said, they show up late, they'll leave early, they complain while they're there, and they don't behave like an owner. And they definitely, if any employee that they had behaved like them, they would get fired.
Yep. Well, and this is just textbook leadership, right? Like, are you a boss or you're a fucking leader? That right there, what you're explaining to me is a boss. That's, holier than thou rules for me, not for thee, right? Look at our entire governing system, you fucking pricks. Side note, I guess they're rolling out COVID fucking mandates again. And
what's that? What?
That's fucking
where?
New variant. I don't know. Biden administration's talking about it. Yay! But anyway,
they better not fuck up my. If I gotta wear,
I refuse to comply with anything. Fuck it all. I'm not doing any of this shit.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this again. But that's the when people get to this position of authority, and then all of a sudden, like you said, they end up treating people exactly the way they were treated.
And I think people confuse ownership with authority. You have responsibility.
Dude, that's a great way to put that. It's responsibility, not authority, right? I mean, you do have authority, but I don't ever look at myself as an authoritative figure within our organization. I'm there to guide people in certain places, or, even if I am in a leadership position, or if I'm just navigating contracts, like, it's navigation for me. It's not authority.
The best thing you can do as a leader is delegate authority.
Yeah. Fuck. Yes.
You can take care of it.
You go yell at him.
I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy that you guys can solve this and take care of this. Take on that authoritative role because as an owner and as a leader, when you have a team and you delegate responsibility, you have to delegate authority with that. You can't just give them responsibility and you have all of the authority. That's micromanaging. That doesn't work. That's chicken shit leadership. You delegate enough things, you don't have to have the authority, but you still have all of the responsibility. Thinking like an owner is being able to. So I did this exercise with you guys when you were in the other shop. I did this exercise with Coleman when I went to Utah and saw him. As an owner, you've got to be able to walk across the street, turn around and look at your shop through the lens of a customer and go, what story am I being told right now? Because if you're not thinking like an owner, you believe that everything is dictated by the skill that you have, the success, the experience with the client, the quality, the standard, the price. Everything is solely dictated by the skill. An owner is going to elevate themselves out of the weeds, be able to walk across the street and go, I need to rewrite my story here. I need to be able to send a message that explains to people and tells people what they should expect from us and what experience are we going to create. And then systematically you start creating those kind of value stacking experiences. That way you could go back into the shop and go, okay, I need to fucking rearrange everything. And like I said, I know we did that, but when I did it with Coleman, it was amazing because Coleman's one of those get shit done motherfuckers,
Oh, fuck yeah.
And, we walked across the street and I said, tell me what you see. And he said, I see a garage full of stuff. I said, okay. I said, what I see is a house, somebody's house with a garage attached to it, and they do something in there. I said, what you want people to see is a successful business with a house attached to it.
All right. Yeah.
And so then we go back into his shop, and I said, now tell me about this place. Tell me about how it feels. And you got to remember, this was maybe 2 years ago, when Coleman and I were working together at this level. And one of the things that he was sharing with me, he said, dude, he goes, I fucking hate coming out here. I said, okay. I said, so we have a relationship problem, right? Relationship with the business. And I said, look around. And he looks around and he looks at me. I said, it feels like a hospital room in here. It's dingy light walls, poor fluorescent lighting, and that's it. I was like, it feels like a fucking morgue.
All right.
I said, this is your castle. This is your workplace. This has got to stimulate your brain, your thought process. You need to be able to come out here and step directly into your role. And dude,
his shop is fucking so badass now.
It's so sexy.
Yeah.
And for weeks, I got progress pictures from him after that. Colors, flags, artwork, fucking TV, custom hanging racks that he built. Everything's organized. He's got rolling tables and stationary tables and fucking scrap bins that you pull out. Right. I mean, he went ham.
He made it his.
And he got done and he said, I can't wait to come out here in the mornings.
Yeah.
Right? And it completely changed that narrative because he went from a welder to a business owner. And recognizing that you have such a high level of ownership. And it's something I have to remind my clients often. It's your business.
Right.
Is this what you want? Then do it.
Yeah. Do it your way.
Exactly. It's yours. You don't need permission. It's your fucking business. Make it into what you want it to be. Build the culture, build the environment, have that stimulating, I don't give a fuck what it is because it's yours.
It shouldn't suck energy out of you. You should be able to freely put energy into it, but it should not suck the energy out of you.
Yep.
And if it is, it's because you haven't set it up the way you want it. You're doing things out of quote unquote necessity, not out of what you want.
And when you have that set up, the necessity is easy. I mean, it really is. It becomes systematic, in getting that done. But having that owner mindset, and it is a maturity, it's a growth thing, absolutely. Especially if you have worked for other people. I feel like we kind of hold ourselves captive to that mindset and that expectation as to how we operated as an employee.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Right. Because we think about the way things worked when we worked for other people, and we're like, oh well, that's the way we've always done it, right?
Right, 100%.
That's exactly how it shows up, And it's like, oh well, we have to do it this way because of this, and it's like any processes that you were working with 20 years ago, and you have just never questioned them, you really need to question them at this point, as everything has changed, all the dynamics, all the metrics, everything has changed. Or there's some that might be able to withstand the test of time, sure. But most things have changed, I mean, even look at just fucking time cards. Everything's electronic nowadays.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were on paper tickets up until we quit the pipeline industry, and that was only 7 years ago, or 6 or 7 years ago,
Yeah. I want to close this up with a really important fact that people need to know, or an important point is, you have to give yourself permission to make mistakes, and you have to give yourself permission to be imperfect. And I'm basically talking into a fucking mirror right now, because when you recognize that, and this is what I love about Katie. Her and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and she goes, I don't think you realize how black and white you are about things. And I was like, okay. She said, there's not much gray area with you. It's very black and white. And for you just look at something and go, oh, I just need to do this.
You're decisive.
Yeah. And it's like, it either works or it didn't, or you just got to do it or you don't. And throughout that conversation, I recognized that she was right. Very right. And I don't give myself permission to stray too far.
Right.
So I love the fact that she, that she knows that I trust her enough that she could share that with me. And that's why I want to say that at the end of this conversation is it's not about being perfect every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about, I mean, you know what? There's times I go to bed and there's still dishes in the sink.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. There's times that, you know, I come in here and I'm like, okay, I need to spend 10 minutes and I need to organize. It's not perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give yourself permission to be imperfect because I think that allows you room for growth.
Yeah. That gives you room to fail. Right. And that's, and it gives you the ability to take risks. You know, when you allow yourself to not be perfect, it gives you like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, fuck it up. Like,
yeah.
And
that's so. Since that conversation, and did we talk about green lights on here? Did we talk about the book?
Oh, I listened to it on tape. It was really fucking good.
It was really good.
Yeah. Fucking Matthew McConaughey. What a character, dude.
Dude, so great. Highly recommend. One of my top most recommended books right now. But because I don't believe in coincidence, it wasn't, you know, a week or so after her and I had that conversation that Green Lights was recommended to me again. It's been recommended to me over the last couple of years multiple times, but it just aligned this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it came back around from the universe and said, hey, this would be a great book. I'm like, man, that would be good. So I downloaded it. I was traveling, listened to it, and it was just so relatable to the conversation that her and I had about my black and white mindset and how non-adventurous I am and how I really operate within this strict lane in
your own captivity,
my own captivity. And when I got done reading that book, like that book took me on an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to the things that he experienced and all the things that he had done and the different adventures and his mindset and the concept of green lights. And I got done with that book and I'm like, I haven't done much.
So you're saying you want to smoke weed or what?
LSD and coke off of a hooker's ass, man. I'm fucking going all in.
For the fences, dude.
I'm going all in. I know, not dipping my toe in. Both feet, balls deep. Yeah. Let's go.
Into the hooker? Or
who? What? Who's goat? But that's really why I wanted to kind of bring that up, because a lot of the things that we talk about on here, first of all, I live out everything that we talk about. I don't share anything on here. I don't talk about anything that I don't implement in my own life because I think that's hypocrisy. But what I had to accept is that it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And not that the principles and the things that we teach aren't perfect. It's about me implementing them.
Right. Well, dude, implementation's messy.
It's so messy. And I think that's a really brilliant way to describe it.
You think it's like because somebody offers you a solution and, you know, like implementing these things is supposed to be a solution to these problems you have. And you're like, oh my God, I have this path. This is going to be great. No, it's not. It is messy. It's hard. It fucking, it's going to stir up these nasty emotions inside of you. But if you fight through all that shit and you implement this shit properly, it does fucking work, you know? And that's the hard part to like, I guess that's the part where we undersell everything, right? You make it sound like it's so fucking easy. Sorry. I'm sorry if we made it sound that way because it is not. It is not easy.
We're also trying to explain it in 60 minutes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's difficult to add in the reality factor to a lot of these things. It's like, no, we're going to give you the tools. You need to figure out how to use the tools. Or you can get into coaching and I'll teach you how to use the tools. Right. We can spend time together. We can do on-site. We can do different things. There's other options beyond the podcast. But yeah, the stuff that we talk about on here, it does sound easy and it's not intentional.
It's like, oh, all you got to do is this. Oh, right. That's all? Okay. Well, when you actually go to do it.
And again, you know, that's a lot of mistake that I make with my black and white decisive and just brain. Since that conversation and since reading that book, I have been on this kind of this journey, this internal journey, because I want to better understand why I'm that way. which is probably why I'm being really black and white about it.
Yeah. Well, at least you solved the problem, Josh.
I didn't realize that until I just said that out loud. I'm like, God damn it. I took this great thing and I'm like, let me figure this out. What's the expectation? What is it that I need to do?
When you told me you went down to that beach to go watch sunset and smoke a cigar, I'm like, what does a guy like Josh sit there and think while he's staring at a sunset? It can't be that. It can't be that like whimsical.
It's not.
You're not pondering the mysteries of the universe or anything like that.
It's for most of human civilization, it would be so fucking boring. Because I swear to God, all I think about is growth, discipline, implementation, and how I'm going to achieve success. When I'm sitting on a rock watching the sunset of Tahoe with a cigar, that's my fucking brain. And I'm evaluating what I've done, how I can do it differently, what I've done right, what I've done wrong, what my plan is moving forward. That's my fucking brain all the time.
I'm like, hey, look at that cool shade of orange over there. That was a weird looking bird.
And I have snapshots of that, snapshots of the colors and the scenery. I have to remind myself, and I enjoy reminding myself, like, where I'm at now, just where I'm at in my place in the world. It's so far removed from where I'm from and where I thought I would be, and acknowledging that for me is healthy because I fucking love it here. I absolutely. I moved here because it's one of my favorite places that I had ever been. But even that internal dialogue for me is very black and white and forward. And I am trying to add, I don't want to say some color.
Shades of gray.
50 of them. 50 shades of gray.
That's how we get into BDSM.
So hot. What? Yep. I don't know. It's just, I think.
Well, good for you, buddy. That's growth.
It is growth.
Right. And so now we put you right back into your black and white shit again. Dude. God, you're a mess. What the fuck are we going to do with you?
Oh, God. So, and then this is how primitive I am. I was talking to Katie before you got here. And after I got done with Green Lights, I recommended it to her. She read it. Fucking loved the book equally. We talked a lot about it. What'd you get out of it? What I got out of it? And just all of these things. And then I think it's really healthy when couples learn things together. Advocate of that. I think it's good. And, she was like, hey, this is something I would like to do, is especially being in a long distance relationship. But it's like, hey, I'd like, go through books or learn things and we can discuss them. And I was like, yeah, fucking love that. So today I was like, God damn it. This is, again, I was like, so how does this work? I said, are we going to read a book together and then you we read our own?
Structure this shit?
Yes, I was adding framework. And she goes,
shut up, Josh.
Oh my God. And she looked at me and she goes, what? No. I said, I'm just trying to understand the expectation. And she said, my expectation is that you say, hey, I'm thinking about reading this book. It's about this. Would you be interested? And I'm like, is that it? She's like, that's it. That's my entire expectation. And
there's a fucking meaning behind everything, motherfucker.
Again, that's my fucking problem. And it serves me well for certain things. And, and she told me that. She goes, for most of the stuff, I appreciate how black and white and decisive you are. But there's other things that doesn't need to be like that. And so she told me that. And I'm like, so that's the expectation? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I can meet that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And, she's laughing at me because of that exact thing.
Right.
And
well, but I mean, it's hard to, if that's been your MO for,
I don't know how long,
65 years or something like that. Yeah. That's, you're altering a thought process. That's definitely not some fucking overnight shit, unless you do copious amounts of some sort of hallucinogen, then you can You can adjust stuff real quick. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be in the right direction.
Learn a lot.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I haven't uploaded any toolbox videos is because I'm trying to expand on the primitive nature of those videos. Because for me, again, black and white, deliver information. This is what it is. And not that I don't give a fuck about entertainment. Okay. I'm not, it's $25 a month. There's not a lot of entertainment value there. It is information. It's meant to be compressed. It's meant to be specific. But I also feel like that I can create a more comfortable environment with the videos. I'm not going to redo the ones I already have, but moving forward, I've already like restructured how I'm going to do them. I am going to create a more structured flow to the videos and to the conversations, where it's more like a conversation is to watching me fucking talk.
Roboting it up.
Exactly. But again, that's me growing and just evaluating like, these are things that I can do. And I can give again, back to my final point, what I brought up, give myself permission, to make mistakes, give myself permission to be imperfect when it doesn't matter. And I really think I'll be happier. I really do. Not that I'm unhappy, but I think I can be happier.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I know. Dude, being in my head
sounds boring.
It's fucking boring. It's absolutely boring. Yeah. So I recommend everybody listen to Green Lights.
Sign up for the toolbox.
Sign up for the toolbox. It's going to get better. It's good information. It's just going to get better delivery, I guess. I don't fucking know. So, all right. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Let's get out of here. You can find Nate on Instagram at NateNewton87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there. Get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.